Well, howdy, boys and girls. I am Mr. Batman, and my website is MrBatman.com. I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I believe the Bible is true and correct right from the very first verse, and I teach science and apologetics for all ages. Please feel free to visit my website to submit your questions. I answer all questions and do so as quickly as possible. Recently, we had a lock-in at our church with our youth. And during that lock-in, one of the young men came to me, an 8th grade student, and said, this is what our teachers are requiring us to learn and teaching us about evolution. And as such, wanted me to go through this and see where I thought I could help him understand where this teacher is wrong, since I understand evolution and I actually am a teacher myself. I'm a substitute teacher. So I said I would do the very best I could, and here we go. The paper is actually termed Evolution Part 1, The Basics. This is his study guide given to him by his teacher to understand that evolution is how we got here. I'm not going to call it that, because I'm going to call it Dissecting Evolution Part 1, The Basics, because I'm going to cut down to the very basics. I'm going to ask the difficult questions that you need to understand in order to realize that evolution is a dogma, it is a religion, it is a belief system that cannot be scientifically proven. And we're going to see that, we're going to scientifically prove that statement. And here we go. So, the very first page in the handout says that evolution, the processes that have transformed life on Earth from its earliest forms to the vast diversity that characterizes it today. A change in the genes. Well, let's talk about that. Let's look at the word processes. If we're talking about the scientific method, and I hope that is what this teacher is referring to when he says the word processes, and not something that cannot be observed, tested, and repeated, because science is just that. The scientific method is observable, testable, and repeatable. If we're talking about how life transforms, well, then we're talking about adaptation, that all life is created with specific information that it allows it to adapt to its environments and to environmental pressures and changes. Now, when we're talking about earliest life forms, how do we know what any of the earliest life forms are? Because if they're requiring diversity to be their evidence, there is no such evidence. As a matter of fact, as we go on, I will reference a couple different places in the fossil record, one of which is called the Cambrian explosion. You see, evolutionary dogma declares that we should all have a single common ancestor, and from that single common ancestor, all life, or the tree of life, has branched out into diverse forms. That's why they require diversity. But we do not see that. What we actually see is something called disparity, and it's easy to remember this term because it causes the evolutionist great despair. What we see is all life fully formed in the lowest levels of the fossil record. Again, that's called the Cambrian layer of the fossil record. And we're talking about not just simple life, but we're talking about complex forms of life, including complex eyes, nervous systems, internal organs, skeletal systems, nervous systems, reproductive systems. All these are there and fully functioning right from the very lowest level of the fossil record. So, they also start mentioning something about genes, genetics, a change in the genes. Well, I love genetics because genetics is all about information. But you have to ask, where do these genes come from? The basic question is, okay, we're seeing a change in genes, so where did the genes come from to change? Because survival of the fittest does not explain arrival of the fittest. These are very basic questions right from the very get-go that you have to ask. And see, we can know with blessed assurance that we are created in the image of the Creator, and that we are not the product of the evolutionary belief system, because of multiple complex systems in our human bodies that are not only complex systems in their own right, but are interdependent upon one another. They are required. Each one of these requires the other one in order to be there. That is, The circulatory system requires the respiratory system, which requires the digestive system, which requires the excretory system, which requires the skeletal system, and the muscular system, and the nervous system, all the way down. You cannot have one system without the other. The human body, while a lot of these systems can be bypassed to some degree, a lot of these systems are irreducibly complex. And a good way of thinking of this is, which evolved first? The heart or the blood that the heart pumps? And again, the heart itself is an amazing instrument of design. The heart is the size of your human fist. It's made of meat, and it pumps 700,000 gallons of blood every year, and it runs on junk food, donuts and cookies. Yes, I mean, we wish we could make a pump that would do that. So again, you can actually understand by looking at the evidence, the same evidence that the evolutionist is looking at, and understand that they are blind because they want to be blind. They reject the truth that they know of the designer, of the creator of all things. You see, you can trust the Bible. The authority of Scripture, Exodus 20:11. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. You see, that's where we get our 7-day week. That's why we know what we were created beings, because we're created in the image of the Creator. And He has given us the ability to understand and detect design. And you and I have design written all over us. Well, I'll be doing more of these, and it'll be actually in a video series that I'm going to do called, again, Dissecting Evolution. And I'm going to do this for the entire 51 pages of this paper. It ought to take a while, but it ought to be pretty interesting. We've gone through 2 pages. You all have a great day. May the God of creation, the God of salvation, bless you all.